this episode, we are talking summer camp, winter retreat, DNow games that last the whole weekend. When you're planning a winter retreat, you know that you are responsible for amazing games that capture people's attention and that create momentum. Well, in this little mini YouTube playlist series, I'm sitting down with some experts to talk about games that last and span the whole weekend, that build off each other, and that maybe even in some cases happen in the background. And in this episode today, we are sitting down with my new friend, Jay Reynolds from Raleigh, North Carolina, and we're going to be talking about this idea and this concept that he came up with from a game show that he saw on Hulu to implementing it in his youth ministry winter retreat. Well, hey everyone, welcome to the Hybrid Ministry Show. All right, well, what's up everyone? I'm here with my friend Jay. Jay, how we doing this morning, bro?
Man, I'm good. It's looking like it might want to snow outside. So I might figure out some hanging in some snow later.
Does it snow a lot in Raleigh? Like, is that a thing that you deal with very often?
No, really never. Like it basically, I'm from the north and I've lived down here. If you spill a cup of ice, they shut the schools down. It's a big deal around here.
Yeah. Certainly that's how it goes in Texas as well. But I'm with you. I'm also from the north. So I know what it was like. But the more years I'm here, like the more I'm forgetting. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, man, it's cold, and I was back home Thanksgiving, like during, in Minnesota in November. It was cold. It was a cold experience. And they're like, you're from here. And I'm like, not anymore.
Yeah.
So
my in-laws live in Buffalo. And so I just recently spent Thanksgiving in Buffalo. And 24 degrees and a wind blowing feels like, 7,
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. So.
Well, I appreciate you hopping on. I posted a thing in the DYM Facebook group asking for like retreat games and things that kind of like you could go back to. And you responded with a comment about like you tried to emulate a game show called The Floor. Is that what it's called?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right. So for people like me who don't know what you're talking about, like explain this game show to me like I'm a 5-year-old.
Okay, wonderful. So it's a game show. I watch it on Hulu. I don't know which network technically has it, but on Hulu, it's Rob Lowe is the host, and it's called The Floor. And it's basically, it's a nice floor setup. It's like all LED, whatever.
Okay.
And basically, the floors is made up of 100 boxes. And for the game show, every box, so 100 people, have like their specialty category. Maybe it's like Star Wars characters, or maybe it's like cereal brands, or maybe it's like college football teams in the SEC. I don't know. Like it's just everybody comes with their specialty.
Okay.
And what you need to do is you basically challenge somebody. It's like it's randomized. It's 1 to 100, and it's like say it lands on 49, and say their category is cats. And they get to choose who do they want to challenge. And their box 49 is connected to a bunch of other boxes. And so they basically challenge somebody. And let's say they challenge somebody, it's Bridges. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up here, right? But
okay,
it's all random categories. And then they go up to the front and they challenge. And what the challenge looks like is there's basically a picture on the screen and they just have to guess what it is. So it's pretty simple kind of trivia. And now in the game show, they have like each contestant, when they're battling, they have 45 seconds. And so if they're like thinking a lot of time, like, it's like, oh, what is that? Like their own 45 seconds is kind of like going down on the clock. Think of like when you play chess, there's like that, like your own time clock.
Yeah.
So that's how it's played in the game, on the game show.
Okay.
And when I saw that, I was like, man, I think I could play that in like a retreat weekend,
Yeah.
And so now I have asked multiple times, Nick, with my leadership, can I get an LED floor so that I could really play this game? And of course, what do you think my answer I got is?
They probably were like, if we had the budget, yes, but right now, the Lord hasn't blessed our church with the funds
Yeah.
to do an LED floor. That'd be my guess.
That's you're 100% correct. You're 100% correct. Since I was not recipient of a blessing of an LED floor,
Right.
but I still had this gumption to want to play this game. So I figured it out. I was like, okay, I can't do 100. Like, in programming, there's programming. You're like, man, that game would be a banger, but it might be like 3 hours long. And it's just like, do I have that amount of time? No. But what I did is what I decided to do is how can I make it manageable and reproducible in my context?
Hey, I want to hop on here and interrupt this real quick to let you know that my seasonal social media pack is now live. And here's how it went for me when I was at my busiest week this fall using my own product, my seasonal social media pack. And here's how quick I was able to post over the span of a week while hosting a conference and having more on my plate than ever before. I was able to make it happen. Check it out. Imagine it's 6 minutes per week. Have your entire social media strategy done for you. I mean, think about it. Like 3 months of youth ministry content for just 23 cents a minute. Some weeks it takes me 7, other weeks it takes me 5. But the point is, and especially at the end of this, as I was sitting in my youth ministry leader cohort, everyone said time management and scheduling was the issue with staying consistent on social. So my recommendation would be take my pack, let it be the basics of what you do. And if you do get busy, if something else comes up, you have something to fall back on. And then when you do have the creative energy to create something more custom and more elaborate, scrap one of mine and put one of your own in there, but mine will at least keep you moving in the right direction.
And so when we go off to retreat with middle schoolers, we take over a whole campground and we basically use a gym. We convert the gym to like our main auditorium. And so what I did was just use some painter's tape and I created boxes on the ground, basically built a frame and then did 16 boxes. So I narrowed down 16 categories. Yeah. And in that, what I did was, I just chose simple categories, just like I mentioned before, simple ones that middle schoolers would want to get into, right. Thinking through food, snacks, common pop culture type stuff, things that the whole crowd will get into. And so basically what I did was like, okay, 16 boxes, I can do about 4-5 questions per round, and kind of see how it goes. Originally, when I played it, I was like, okay, I'm just going to pick 16 kids. It's going to be the same 16 kids, when I start the game. Oh, what I mentioned is once you win against somebody else, then you take over their box, right?
Oh, so gotcha. Okay.
In 16 boxes, if you're number 16 and you play against someone who's 15, now you take over their category, right? And there's one less person, they get kicked out. And then your goal is to take over the whole floor.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. That's fun.
Does that make sense?
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
So so you take over the cat. I've been looking it up here while you've been talking. Like the setup on the game show looks amazing. So I can imagine how you can set up, 16. How do you in a retreat type setting, how do you determine your 16 contestants?
Yeah. So completely random, and what I really did was I just randomized and just picked 16 kids. I mean, some ways that you could do that. And so I would suggest 16 because it's an easy multiple, right? You can do 4 questions each time and you can carry it through, say, a typical retreat. Maybe there's 4 main sessions. You could play around with that. If you only have 3 sessions, that maybe you do 9 or do some type of, multiple of that.
Right.
But I would say in a typical 4 sessions, 4 questions is pretty good and you get the crowd all into it. But how to pick kids, here's what I originally thought. I would just pick 16 kids and the same kids that were on, in their box on Friday night would be the same kids playing throughout. But as I thought about it, in my retreat, we had, a couple hundred kids. And I was like,
right.
How should I do this? So I just completely randomized it. It was kind of like a game day decision. And the only people that stayed was if they won out. So Friday night, whoever won, now they had like the large, and basically what does it mean to win on like the first session? there's 16 boxes. They didn't take over the whole floor, but
Right.
whoever has the largest section, right? So it's 4 questions. So it's just like if they have 3, they own like 3 other boxes, then they have the largest section, they win. And so I would give some type of prize for the night. And the way that the show works is they would do like 8 or 9 boxes, and you win. And whoever has the most boxes like connected, the largest area on the floor, they would win like a high dollar prize. Right. So I just mimicked that. And I was like, oh, here's like tons of candy to like go back in your cabin, that type of thing. And so there was intrigue to win for that night or that session, even if you don't win the overall. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So,
okay. So, and then you're randomizing, you're calling up a couple contestants to go head to head.
Yeah.
And then are you just asking like, trivia questions to them back and forth, or like where are you sourcing your questions from?
Oh yeah, great question. So what I did is out of 16, I built like basically in ProPresenter, I built 16 categories, and it's all picture related. And so behind them, there's a big old screen, and let's just say it was cereals, and so they just have to guess, oh, that's Reese Puffs, that's Honey Nut Cheerios. And what I did, instead of like playing like chess, how the game show is, like each has your own 45 seconds, it's a whole lot to manage.
Yeah.
So I just put one timer up, and so I flipped a little bit of the game show, and I made it whoever has the most correct in 45 seconds.
Okay.
And I encourage high crowd participation.
There you go.
And so like the kids up there, and sometimes a kid would get a little bit of stage fright, and they're like, oh, I know what that is. That is definitely, Lucky Charms, but I just can't think of what the name is. But the whole crowd's yelling Lucky Charms,
Right.
And so it keeps the whole crowd engaged.
Yeah.
While at the same time, a good game, I believe it's just like, it's not just for the contestants on stage, but it gets the whole crowd also into it.
Yeah, I love that you like encourage crowd participation rather than try to stifle it, because then that makes, that means everyone in the room is able to like join in and participate. And it's not just for the people up there.
And that's where a lot of the prizes, I tried to make them like, maybe there was like, actually, I think that's the year I gave away like some panda hats and like, so I may have like made like a panda shirt or something. That was kind of our little subtle branding. And so that just kind of went with it. It was like, oh, this is for you, but it's also paired with like 5 bags of candy to share with your cabin.
Nice.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so
there's more incentive for the people in the crowd. Like if their buddy's up there, they might get to, that's awesome.
And so that just called a lot of crowd participation. Here's what I didn't expect, but something awesome that happened.
Yeah.
So in 45 seconds, you sometimes go into it thinking like, oh, this game's going to be great. This kid's going to get like 8. This kid may get 7, like clear winner. That didn't always happen. Like this kid got 8, this other kid got 8, time ended. Now I'm like in the moment, like, well, what do I do? Right?
Yeah.
And so, so here's what I did. Like, I'll just give a little secret sauce so you don't have to think through it if you play this.
Yeah.
And so I just like, okay, that you guys tie. How do we end this? And so I basically just put my hand out, and and then for the contestants, hand behind the back, go to the next one. The first one, high five and answer correctly, then they got to choose. And
they
that
win.
created in the whole room, like this anticipation, who's going to get it, And then it's like the one kid that happened to, and they guessed, they were so confident and they got it wrong, but then the other kid got it right. And it just creates like kind of like this little bit of storybook kind of ending whenever they tie. And so it just works, pretty well.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. Okay. So a kid wins the majority of the board Friday night.
Yes.
So Saturday morning, let's say, you come back to play it again. You're getting random contestants. Now, if someone was on the board but they weren't selected or they weren't eliminated, did you swap them out with new contestants, or did you? So you just had the people who like. So like one carryover from Friday night, and then everyone else was new on the board on Saturday. Is that how you handled it?
That's how I handled it. Right.
Okay, great.
And so some of that is, sometimes when you play a game, it's like, oh yeah, that kid, gets participated, but somebody wins before they get there. Right. And it's just like, it's kind of that concept. And what I had in a little bit of the workflow is that every kid who had a box, I gave them basically like a piece of paper. I'm number 1, 2, whatever their number was,
yeah.
that went with the box.
Right.
And so that also helped for, like in the moment, there's all these kids around. It's like, oh, it chose number 12, to be able to cue the folks in the back and be able to set up Pro Presenter, everything correctly. It was like, oh, we got number 12, coming on up, and so it's like while they're traveling, it's able to kind of like cue some of the tech team so they're able to get the next things all set up. But with that, it was all new kids. Like if you won, now when it comes to Saturday night and Sunday morning, if you won Friday night, you were still on the board, unless you lost, and
right.
So it's basically like kind of like you win, you get to stay in the game and earn the right to keep going.
I think that part's really cool. So did you have a kid make it all the way through, or did like a winner from Friday end up getting eliminated on Saturday and you kind of kept daisy chaining it all the way to the end?
I think it was, we may have had at least a Saturday night. We had Friday winner and Saturday morning winner into it. I can't remember Sunday morning.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
May have had a couple, because we didn't play it this year. We played it last year. And so I'm a little bit of a year plus removed from,
right.
But it just created a cool environment, but also like some of the dynamics. Let's say like it was number 15, they beat 16, they beat 14, and they had like their pocket like all the way on the end.
Right.
Well, the next day we showed up, it was hey, do you want to like play, or do you want to kind of go back and just like sit in your like little area? And so that's kind of where like, oh, we'll just sit in our area. Okay, let's throw up a randomizer. What do we get next? Number 2, right? They're almost the other side of the floor.
Right.
And so, it may have been like, oh, well, you didn't win, or you didn't play that day or that session.
Yeah, to win, but you survived because you weren't on that part of the floor.
So some of that, and if you watch the game show, that's how like people will play. Like, oh, I won like 3 rounds. I have a small little section, but I'm like in an aisle. I'm like all the way in the corner. Yeah. Maybe it's better I go back and then, but it's also like I'm playing for the category, right? Now, let me talk a little bit about categories. I chose all that myself. The game show, like you go in saying, this is my category. And it's like, you're almost like you're bringing the category to the game show.
Yeah. Like that's you're an expert in that category. Yeah. Is how it works on the game show, you're saying.
Yes. But in my context, and I'm like, to keep things to be able to be randomized, I was basically like, here's your category. You are now an expert.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool.
Like you are now an expert on dogs, or you are now an expert on fruit, you are now, and it was all common stuff that's in their world. And so, so instead of it being as eclectic as what you might experience, like watching the game show, is I just made it more actually slide on the side of common, and that most people are going to know, what it is, right? Because when you think through audience engagement, actually sometimes the more eclectic it gets, the more you minimize participation, right? And so
100%, yeah.
So in this context, it's like playing other games, like, if you play or pie in the face type games, it's like you actually want some of that, like those topics that people are going to know, car brands, that type of thing, shoe brands, like some of those things. And it just creates a higher engagement, which ends up being a better experience for the entire audience.
Yeah. Okay. So one, like, just last little point of clarification I have is when you get 2 contestants, do you have them bounce back and forth? Like you say a car brand, I say a car brand until the one person can't remember, or do you give them each 45 seconds and they have to list as many as they can, and then the other person goes?
Yeah, no, great question. So in using the slides, and for us, we just had a screen right behind us. So it's easy for them to see, easy for the whole crowd to see, that type of thing. And it was basically like person A
that's right.
against person B. So A, it's just like, oh, let's say it's animals. Like, oh, that's a panda. Next person B. Oh, that's an eagle. Person A, oh, that's a dolphin, that's a shark,
So it's not like a speed thing against them. It's like person A, this slide is yours, and you either get it or you don't.
Yes. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And
cool,
it's
cool.
like, if it takes you a second, like animals is pretty easy, but when you get into like, and I think like was it like cereals? I may have had a picture of the cereal. I may have had the box and kind of canvaed out the name of it or something like that.
Right.
Make it so it's recognizable, but you're like, it takes you a minute, or not a minute, but it takes you a few moments to think about it. the overall timer was 45 seconds. And it was just whoever got the most correct. But it was just back and forth, that type of thing.
That's awesome. I love it. Okay. Now, you told me when we were texting back and forth, like, do you still have the ProPresenter file? Like, is that something that you could get and we could give to people who are listening?
Dude, I'd love to,
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
And so, yeah, and I use ProPresenter, and so, it's all built in ProPresenter, but I think it's all built in folders. So if you don't use, if somebody's listening and they want to try it out, I think I have folders that are all like the images, and I built the floor off 16, but I built like 2 other categories. So if like something happened like day up or something glitches, things like that. So I think
you got to fall back. Yeah.
18 categories.
Okay.
But man, I would gladly share it.
Yeah, that's all. That'd be super cool. Yeah, so we'll get that from you. And we'll link it down below. I think the thing I like the most about this is that like you can make this like the game for your like DNow, your winter retreat, your fall retreat, whatever, and like you can just go back to it. And as opposed to every session, let's say you got 4 sessions over the course of a weekend, you don't have to come up with 4 things. Like this thing like carries you all weekend long. And the more they like know it or get to understand the rules of it, by the end of it, like the hype level is probably going to be raising, like every single time they do it. So maybe Friday night, it's like basic understanding and basic learning. But by the end of it, like people get the rules, they're locked into it. And, they're trying to carry home like the ultimate like floor, champion moniker, if they get to take home that final prize or whatever. So I think those are some of my favorite like styles of games, like things that you can just that you can kind of keep going back to. And so that's what I love about it. And I did not understand it at all when we were texting. So as you've described it more, I'm like more and more into it. And even my wheels now are turning. I'm like, all right, like we got a winter retreat coming up. Like, do we incorporate this? Or like, do we bring this with us to summer camp or something like that? Because this sounds super fun, super amazing. And just like a great way to like build the competition and build the camaraderie.
Yeah. And I think, that's exactly it, man. And if you think through like, and how we set it up, like, I think we just set up like 2 or 3, or maybe it's like 2 blocks and just like right as a center aisle. But let's just talk a little bit about that. Like I use painter's tape, so that way it's not messing with the floor at all.
Right. And cheap.
Super cheap. But then what I did to make it easier is like think through, have you ever played like that kids like dot game? You have to build boxes.
Yeah.
So think of it in that a whole frame on the outside was just solid lines to be able to build it. But on the inside, it was all like, just think through each box by itself, because then when you have some volunteers like, oh, box 8 takes over 7, and now you pull that one strip between the 2. Now, it's all box 8, right?
Yeah.
And so that just makes it easier logistically, because if you run long strips, like across multiple boxes on the interior, then like, oh, now I have to like weirdly pick up, like
cut it. And
and that will be logistically, that's like something like, oh, I didn't think of it until I was in the situation. Now it's an issue.
Right.
That think through like small, like, so if the boxes say, 2 or 3 feet wide, just the interior pieces are all single pieces. So it's a little bit longer to set up, not much, but a little bit longer to set up, but much easier for flow, like game flow.
Yeah, I got you. Okay. So then, 7 overtakes 8. On Saturday morning, do you redraw like the 7 box, or has 7 still overtaken 8 on Saturday morning for that morning's board? Does that make sense?
Say 7 takes over 8. And so now, and so basically your goal is to win the whole floor,
the whole thing. Yeah.
Yep. So ultimately, and so now you get down to it is like, let's just say winner keeps winning and they keep staying, they keep playing all this kind of stuff. And now you get down to it, they have 15 boxes, and so let's just say it's 1 against number now, like, let's say it's 9 that won everything.
Yeah.
1 didn't play at all. And it's just the kid who just got in that day and they just sat and watched 9 keep winning.
Yeah.
And they get up there, and then 1 who's had no action the entire time. They beat this person who's won everything. It's like a David and Goliath style matchup. And then they win that round. They win it all. you know?
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
And so that's the other thing, what's intriguing about it. It's like, you know, some games it's like, oh, if you could have this sheer advantage or you keep winning and then now it like builds all this momentum. It's nice because it's like there's neutralizers built into this game all the way
Yeah.
throughout, you know?
Yeah.
And it could just be like, oh, just luck of the draw. Like, I don't know cereal. I don't eat cereal. I only eat toast. And like, I don't even know. And then that kid who's like, oh man, I randomly got chosen. You know, the kid who's like, man, I don't know it. I just eat cereal every day. I don't even know why I'm here.
Yeah.
But I know this. And then I end up winning everything, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's the cool
That's
thing
cool.
that makes it so like easy, you know, and fun and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's amazing. Nice. All right, bro. That really does sound super fun, super cool. So, any like last final parting words about retreats or games or this game in particular before we, you know, hit stop and close out the recording?
Yeah, dude, I think the last thing I'd say as far as for playing this game, because it builds on itself, you know, think through, I think how I played it was Friday night. I think I only did 3 questions, you know,
Okay.
because of Friday night, you have the rules, you have all this kind of stuff and not just the rules for this game, but, you know, just think through your retreat overall. What does
Right.
all of it, you know, entail? And so, you know, we did maybe 3 questions and then that allowed us to choose which other session did we want to do 5, you know? And so just think through some of that from a momentum standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
On how you want to play it. The other thing from a momentum is let your, you know, your session prizes build. So Friday night, maybe it is like a, you know, a hat and like 2 bags of candy, you know, but then Saturday morning, you know, I think we did prizes that like relate. We were going to do like some, I don't know, pool games and things like that. So we gave away like beach towels, you know,
Okay.
and candy, right? And so it just
Yeah.
kind of built, and it just seemed that, you know, as the game builds, because it's over multiple sessions, that if you have budget and if that's how your kind of ministry works, I would encourage you to think through, let your prizes build also, you know,
Yeah.
and because that is just going to intuitively kind of go in with the whole game, you
Yeah,
know,
that makes sense.
that type of thing. And so for
Nice.
me, my style is I always get other leaders involved, you know, small group leaders, things like that. Of like, hey, pick 2 kids to play, you know? And so, you know, that's how I help in the randomization, you know, but I'm getting other leaders involved in that process. That also helps like in a ministry. So it's not like, oh, Jay just picked his favorite kids to play to try to win. You know, well, no, I picked this leader and that lead, you know, so it's like, I try to, so depending on how the structure's set up, getting
Mm-hmm.
other voices involved helps to take away like what could be speculation. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it, man. Well, I appreciate your time. I thought this
Yeah.
was a great conversation, great game. Like, and that one of the things I think is so, like interesting in the world of youth pastors, because I did this too once where I was like watching a game show, you know, just at home with my wife, and I was like, I can make that into a game. You know what I mean? Like, and that's
yeah.
just like the way our brain, like we never turn off. We never stop thinking.
Never.
We're never stop ideating. And so I'd never heard of this concept before. I never even heard of this game show, but you're so right. Like it's a perfect youth ministry game. And I love the fact that it can span the whole thing. And that's exactly what I was looking for all these different conversations, all these different ideas. And so, again, really appreciate you hopping on, and we'll throw the link to your files and stuff like that down below. I really appreciate you giving that away, and that'll be super helpful for anyone who wants to take it and run with it. So
feel free. And hey, if one of your listeners wants to try it out and they get a little confused or want to kind of process through a little bit more, dude, feel free. You know, they can reach out and connect me with them. I'd love to kind of just help walk alongside someone who's trying to, you know, trying something new in their context, trying something to see what it would work. And I hope for folks who try it, man, I hope end of the day, if you're going to play a game like this, it's just as much as you having fun with your kids, with your students having fun, because that's kind of the momentum that really builds and getting them all into it.
Yeah, perfect. All right, Jay. Well, I appreciate it, man. And everyone else, thanks for listening, and we'll talk again soon. See ya.
Great chat, man. Take care.
Well, hope you guys found that episode helpful. Some of those links will be down below if he was able to get them to me. But until next time, my friends, and as always, don't forget, stay hybrid.